Hi everyone, Jennifer Blevin-Smith with Integral Clinic Solutions, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Navigating the Business of Medicine. Today I want to talk about expectations for office managers. This is kind of a sensitive topic for a lot of people because I have learned through my experience, especially in small startup private practices, that a lot of providers hire family, specifically spouses, to manage their practice. And I know I have other videos where I've talked about I don't believe that is a good idea. And there are the reasons in those videos why I've put that out there. But nonetheless, whether they're family, a spouse, that's super close to you, or someone you hire blindly, it needs to be established that you have certain expectations that need to be upheld by the office manager. And it needs to be, in my opinion, written. It needs to be in your policy. And it also needs to be discussed during interviews, during the startup, the initial phases as well, of what the expectations are, being consistent with the expectations, and also making sure that you, as the practice owner, are doing your own due diligence to ensure that your practice managers are doing what's expected of them, that there's some type of quality control, checks and balances, because I know so many practices where these very trusting, wonderful provider owners of these companies hire these managers that are very capable, or they feel are very capable. They don't check up on them. They don't make sure things are getting done appropriately, that are getting done correctly, that they're not being taken advantage of. And then something big happens, and come to find out, it's been a long time coming. That crap hits the fan, no offense, because, and in my experience, the biggest issue is embezzlement, where the managers have been taking money from the practice, and it's just horrible. And I'm not saying that's the majority of office managers out there, but it does prove the point that somebody still needs to be following up and checking the manager to make sure that they are in line. The manager checks and makes sure the staff is in line doing what they're supposed to be doing, but someone also needs to be checking on these managers to also make sure everything is okay. And I think that's where the ball gets dropped a lot, because as a provider, your first priority should be, and usually is, providing the best care possible to your patients. And then you're a business owner and you rely on your manager to really take the reins of the business side of the operations, forgetting the fact that you still need to be involved. You still need to be regularly checking your finances, asking the hard questions, kind of being sometimes, unfortunately, the bad guy, to show the people who are in charge on your behalf that you're ultimately still in charge, and that you're aware of what's going on, and that you know what you're talking about. So, expectations for managers. Again, they should be having regular meetings with your staff. I believe in at least monthly meetings, where during a lunch break or closing early, and having a full agenda to discuss things that are going on in the practice. Communication is key in any relationship, whether it's a personal relationship, a business relationship, a customer relationship. Communication is huge. And if you're not having these regular meetings where the staff can come together, they can speak about things together, get things out there, brainstorm. I mean, in my experience, putting a challenge out there or a situation and talking it out, we come up with some really good ideas together, collaborating. And I was always the type of manager where I wanted input from my staff. They're the ones that are boots on the ground most of the time. They're the ones mostly facing the patients and having to take the questions and the attitude and the issues. And so I wanted to hear from them and let them know they're being heard, that I understand where they're coming from. Now, of course, there's going to be situations where you can't always be a democracy, but for the most part, I was. And I feel like that went over very well with my staff, and why I still have a relationship personally with a lot of the people I have managed in the past because of the way I managed and my style. I also believe that the manager should be giving regular reports to the owners of the practice, whether it's one practice owner or a group of practice owners. There should be a regular meeting coming together with the owners and the manager at least once a month. After hours usually is what we would do. We would order food in and we would go over everything. We would check the finances. I would have all of the key performance indicator reports, financial reports to go over with my owners. We would talk about the finances, any challenges that we're having, any challenges we're having with staff, any upcoming vacations that need to be covered, any policy changes that were coming down from HIPAA or billing policies or with the insurance companies, or any denials or rejections that we're seeing with services that we're billing that we might need to make adjustments in operations or decide maybe not to offer a certain service because of the lack of reimbursement and the cost it was for us out of pocket to be able to offer that service. There's so many things here that need to be discussed with owners who want to be involved in the practice and need to make bigger decisions. And so regular meetings between the manager and the staff, if the owners can participate in that meeting, that's fantastic. If they can't, but at least having the report once a month when the manager meets with the owners to go over how the staff meeting went and what came about from that, and discussing it from there. And then having the regular monthly meetings between the owners and the management is also a good idea. We also had our bookkeeper involved in those meetings between the manager and the owners as well, to really give a deep dive on the finances from the actual clinic side, not just from what the insurances are doing, that I would provide those reports. So it was kind of a collaborated effort. Also, you guys need to make sure that you're establishing a chain of command, making sure that the staff knows that they should be coming to the managers go to the owners, or however you want it to be. Who do the other providers go to that are not owners? Do they go to the manager or do they go directly to the provider? If it's a mid-level provider, do they go to the manager or do they go to their supervising physician? These are questions that need to be ironed out and that need to be discussed. Expectations of managers, in my opinion, should be that they're working harder than everybody else. And I'm not saying that they need to be sweating harder than everybody and they need to be like hands everywhere. That's not my point. But the manager should be the person that fills in when somebody calls in sick and you can't find someone else to do it. The manager should know how to work everybody's position. They might not be a certified medical assistant or a registered nurse, but they should be able to know the flow of how patients are roomed or how the communication with patients need to go, to be able to help facilitate changes, to triage, to make decisions on a whim if something were to happen that there needs to be additional support. A manager should have an idea of how everything operates in the practice. They should know what every job staff member does, their responsibilities, their tasks. They should have a generalized idea that the providers, how they practice and their philosophies with their patients. It's always good to know if they have to take phone calls from patients, of course, or help a staff member with something with support. And the manager should be the first one to jump in when things get crazy, when can't keep up on answering the phone calls, when there is inclement weather that hits and the manager can make it to the office, or they can work from home and help back up certain things. The office manager should not be exempt from doing anything, of course, unless it's like a required licensure or certification or something. But the manager should be the first person to jump in and help back up the staff. And the staff should know that they have the support from the manager, and the manager is willing to get their hands dirty. They are willing to jump in and do what is needed for the betterment of the patients and also the staff. I think putting that out there and knowing that you want a hands-on manager that's knowledgeable of all of the positions, have a general idea of what people do, their responsibilities, and making sure that they're checking in on them and making sure everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing is really important. I could be here all day talking about expectations of practice managers, but that's where I see a lot of things getting dropped in private practices is they owners hire somebody who they want as like a boss figure, as a supervisor figure that's, just kind of overseeing the day-to-day high level stuff. But you really should have a manager. Your expectation should be that knows how to get in, knows the EMR system better than anybody. They should be a super user. They should be able to get in, do the job, and back up their staff as much as possible, at least in little pieces that don't require a licensure or certification, just to help if something were to happen. And that they are the ones that if things are crazy, they're not going, bye, I'm done for the day, I'm going to go get my nails done. They go, okay, I'm not leaving until you guys feel like you're in a good spot today. I know today's been crazy. The fax machine went down. We just got them all coming through. We need to make sure those are sorted before we leave. So what can I do to help you, right? You can't have the manager that's just kind of hands off and delegates everything. And so that's what I'm seeing is that people are not hiring managers that are well-rounded, that are willing to get their hands and feet dirty and get in the trenches with the staff. And that can cause a lot of issues, not only operationally, but also with resentment with staff not respecting their managers, etc., etc. Again, I could talk about this all day, but there should be very clear expectations for your manager, especially with what they get paid. They should be the ones that have some of the most knowledge in the practice, that work the hardest in the practice, and can be the best support for everyone in the practice as well. If you have any questions or comments about this, please leave that in the comments below. Smash the thumbs up button if today's video was helpful. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and please share this with all of your colleagues whom you feel would benefit. I appreciate your time, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.